Welcome to the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. We have the most exciting thing today. We are talking about parenting. You got that. You heard that right. We're talking about parenting to enhance your marriage. It's going to be awesome. Let me tell you about the show today. So here's the situation. It's you. You're in your house. You got 9 kids running around, or 3 kids, or 2, whatever you got that happening. Meanwhile, your husband comes in the door, and isn't it like it's always at the, bewitching hour of 7 o'clock? You have had it. You've had a full day of work, or a half day of work, or no work, or whatever. You've had it. You're done. Like you're completely done. French toast. In through the door walks either the guy who you're mad at because you had asked him to bring the milk and he didn't bring it home, or he's the guy who walks in and says, "Where's my slippers? What's for dinner?" He's coming in with more expectations. What you really want him to walk in and say, "How can I help? Why don't you go rest? I'll take care of the kids." Okay, what we're going to talk about today is tips and techniques for you on how to deal with balancing it. What's it going to be? We all know, if you're a avid Ladies Talk Show fan, you know number one priority is Shalom Bayis, is peace in the home. If you put your husband number one, so let's say this kid needs new sneakers and that one's having trouble and you keep getting calls from the teacher and this one, all this stuff is happening. If you focus on Shalom Bayis, on taking care of your husband, guaranteed a lot of the other things that are problems that are working in your life will disappear. God will take care of them. And that's not, Leah, that's a great idea. No, has nothing to do with me. This is what our 3,000-year-old tradition has taught us, that we have if we take care of Shalom, if we take care of our husbands, a lot of issues. However, that's really good to know in the spiritual realm of the world, and in as theory, when it comes down to brass tacks and you're dealing one-on-one, how do you handle it? What do you do? How do you make decisions? How do you not get so frazzled?
Not strangle your husband. And by the way, it's very sad. She loves the flowers on the wall because they remind her of the book cover. So and she also said so accurate about how you described your husband coming in, and you just wanted him to help.
Are you crazy? And he comes in as another demand on your time. Thank you. So, with that in mind, we have an incredibly special lady. She is an expert on parenting, an expert on life. I've had a wonderful connection with her, a wonderful talk with her, and really, really special lady. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Atara Malach. And we couldn't figure out how to get the picture thing, so you're going to hear her voice, her very strong New York.
New York.
And welcome, Atara.
Hi, ladies. So glad to be here together. And we really are going to do something wonderful that is going to not only enhance the marriage or parenting relationship, but the self-esteem we have as mothers, as wives, because it'll add confidence and confidence.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh,
I like that. I didn't know that was part of the show. So you're getting more than we bargained for. So maybe we can start with, can you tell us one of the, you have a new book out called, why don't you tell us the name? It's GPS for Parenting. What's it called?
A Working Mother's GPS. That's what the new book is called.
That's fantastic. And we'll have links for our audience to take a look at that. So why don't you tell us maybe, a couple of minutes on the red, orange, yellow thing. I thought was really fascinating. She had the GPS thing, and then with the GPS, she used whole traffic analogies that are very good for keeping in mind as you move, in real time. When the rubber hits the road and you can't decide what to do. I thought it was very good. So why don't you tell us what those 3 are and explain a little bit about how to use those tools?
Definitely. But first, I'd just like to explain what GPS stands for, which is guidelines or a guide to parenting success. And I use those 3 words as the GPS because, all our old timers GPS before Waze, how to get from point A to point B. And you're right, Leah, we had this wonderful discussion. And, I don't have to convince everyone how amazing you are, bringing out the best in all of us. But you definitely got me focused on what the main components of this parenting method is. And I think you agree with me that all of us as wives and mothers are exhausted, overworked, underpaid many times, and need something that's simple and clear and powerful.
You got that right. That's right.
Okay. So what I did is just imagine the traffic light. You have the three colors, which are green, red, and yellow. And if you remember that, then you covered it all.
Okay, that's good. That I can remember. There's a good, that's good. I like the green. Whatever green is, I want green.
Yeah.
I want lots of green.
Well, then we can say that, we think alike, because green is the color I chose also in my book and also in my online program and also working personally with people. We start with green because it's green, love, go, red, authority, no, and yellow, trust, slow. Because
okay, wait. We got to do that again slowly. Hold on. We got somebody taking notes here. I'm sure she's got none of that. So wait, green is go.
No, green, love, go. Green, love, go. The middle component of all of them is what we need in all our relationships.
Okay.
Definitely in parenting. So the first part is love.
Love.
Green, love, go. The red stands for red, authority, no.
Okay.
And the yellow is yellow, trust. Because, when you're at the yellow light, you have to trust your instincts and the driver behind you and in front of you. If you're going to, press on the gas, right, and make the light or stop. Exactly. So yellow, trust, slow.
So, and red is, you said no, not stop. Is
authority,
that stop? And what's authority?
No, that you're the authority.
Yes, because I like the go, no, slow. I needed it to rhyme.
Okay.
Yeah, but basically you're saying that the red is that the parent is the authoritative person in the relationship when it comes to the children.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely. We are partners with Hashem, and right up there with Kavod Esavicha and 10 Commandments. We are so much part of authority. Definitely.
Okay. So can you give us an example of one actionable parenting skills for each of these colors, each of the GPS colors?
That would be wonderful. Can I just give you a mindset before we do
Yes.
that?
Yes.
Go to it.
Okay. So just like we believe on Chanach Lanar Al Pi Darko, that we should raise each child with sensitivity to their personality, their needs, their sensitivities. The wonderful part of this program, I always compare it to a cup of coffee. So I love coffee. I'm admitting this. I'm being vulnerable and open and honest. And if you think of how you prepare a cup of coffee, you decide how much hot water, how much coffee, how much sweetener, if at all, what kind, and how much creamer or milk or whatever. You have the same components, but you are the one that knows how you like your coffee to taste.
Okay.
Well, okay. When we get the hang of the red, the green, and the yellow, we decide how much of each I want to incorporate in my interactions with this child on a daily basis. So you're in full control, which is, I call it sitting with your hands on the wheel, because we use the road analogy. Mm-hmm. So all you have to know is know these skills, and then you are the one. Hashem gave you these children. Hashem gave you this husband. You're the one that's going to invest in your marriage and your parenting. And you have this variety of skills to decide when and how to use. Great. What do you think about that?
Yeah, fantastic.
Love that. Especially the part about Hashem gave you these children. No, and husbands. Sometimes I'm like, Hashem, maybe we could switch some things out. No, Chas v'shalom, we love it.
Actually, before we get to an example of each one, I want to answer that question. I want some good tools right now, because I want our Instagram people and our Facebook people to interact with us and tell us this. And our teleconference people, we can put *6 if you want to. If you want to comment on the teleconference. So I want to attack this husband walking in the door at the end of the day issue, because I think it's like, oh my God, we all feel it. It's every day. It's 365 days. Even if our husband isn't, whatever, when he's coming, even if he's there, whatever, there's that time when our kids come home from school or come in from wherever they've been, and there's that issue. So that is the one I'd like to start with. And if you have questions or comments, please put them in. And if you could start with that issue, I'd appreciate it.
Wonderful. So how about asking me a question about that issue? Because we can, like using your word, we can attack it from so many different angles.
How can a wife prepare herself for that, for when her husband, what's the game plan? Like, nobody has a game plan. We're living life, on the speed, and we're shooting from the hip. going to be? We don't realize that every day, like if you think of it beforehand, every day our husband, God willing, is going to be coming home. So for us to be sitting there thinking, every day it kind of catches us by surprise, like, oh, here, like, well, I'm just on the computer now, or I'm just on the phone, or I'm just cooking something now. He doesn't there's never a time during that time when your husband walks through the door where you're just sitting and relaxed. It's just,
Right.
It doesn't happen, okay?
But if you're a good ladies talk show wife, then by now you already know that you
have to
drop
have a plan,
everything
right.
at the door and greet him at the door. But after you greet him, do you dump the baby on him and say, you need to go bathe the kids? What's the next step?
Right. So the problem, Atara, that we're addressing is, number one, what are some good techniques in the moment? And number two, what are some things you can do to plan for the future?
Love that question. And as you know, and everybody does, everyone who's lucky enough to read your book, be in touch with you, join the Ladies Talk Show, knows that you are an inspiration, a role model, and our guide for marriage.
Can you cut this part out? Thank you.
It's all true. It's all true. Say thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we have to be a good receiver. Thank you. Okay.
So I will leave that to you, and I will focus on the parenting aspect, and then I'll make the connection on why I see, and I've gotten feedback time and again, which at first surprised me and constantly delighted me from others who are implementing this program, that their extra credit or unexpected surprise is that their marriages have improved tenfold. So I'm going to focus on the parenting issues, and you'll make the connection. We'll do that together on how that enhances the marriage. Is that all right?
That sounds fantastic.
Love it.
Okay. So I'll give an example of the husband's coming in, everything is chaotic. You know by now that he is your priority. And actually, it's not only that he is your priority, it's your marriage, which really means you and your marriage is your priority. Not only to think that your husband is, you and marriage and your relationship is your priority. On the other hand, you have responsibilities to your children because you created a family together, and they need stuff. They need your attention. They need your help with homework. They need you to scramble them an egg. They need you to separate two fighting siblings who are gouging out each other's eyes. So what do you do?
She's an experienced lady.
Yeah, no, what? Kids do that?
There you go.
Okay, and don't forget, you were up 3 times during the night. You're on a diet which is with no carbs, and any lady is dangerous when
have some cake.
Yes, and et cetera, et cetera. It just gets better and better. I don't say worse and worse. So here is how we use the 3 colors of the GPS in order to be able to plan. I'll answer your second and then the first question after that. How do we plan? Because as you said, God willing, this is a pattern. Hopefully you will want to and greet your husband daily. That's wonderful. We should never take it for granted. And yet chaos reigns. So what do we do? So Green Love Go is all about positive communication and routines.
What kind of communication? I didn't catch. What kind of communication?
Positive communication.
Oh, positive communication.
Yes, because communication could be get out of here, stop doing that, close your mouth, I don't want to see you, go get adopted, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah!
Go get adopted.
No mother has ever said that. Actually, in our house, Atara, my husband always says, he says, you think you're adopted? You're definitely not adopted because I would have chosen someone else. So we don't even have to cover that. You know you're ours.
Wait a minute.
Leah's got the glove. What punch? Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. We're with you.
So green is all about positive communication and routines. And since let's take an example. I'll make it easy on us today. It's the first time we're doing this whole thing together with Instagramming and everything. Let's do it easy. Let's say you know approximately what time your husband comes home. Okay? Not the kind of women who throw me a curveball. No, he works right next door, so he's coming at 4 or 8 or 10. No, he comes home between 7 and 8. All right. If you know that, you can prepare. I'll show you with each color how we prepare. With green, we first of all have a loving connection with our children so that when we pay attention to our husbands, they do not feel abandoned. They got theirs. They got their fix. They know they're important and beloved. That's A. B, we create an evening routine. Because green is also creativity. I'll tell you what I did with my children when they were still young. Now they're all out of the house. But I played a game. You know the game like Beat the Clock? So you have to start either the clock or music, and then children have to get something done until it stops. Well, the trigger to that was a husband coming home. When daddy comes home or when daddy comes home, this is what's going to happen. So either the children go to the children go to the next room to play, or they all sit on the couch watching me eat dinner with him, or whatever, figure it out. But it's an exciting, creative, happy time when you plan it with green.
So meaning your whole afternoon from when the kids come home to when your husband walks in the door, the whole thing is wrapped around, when daddy gets home, and then it's very clear what happens when daddy comes home. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't say the whole afternoon. It might be during the first week, but then once they got it, children are quick on the uptake. They know that already. They're bored already.
But the question is, you know, a kid's always asking what's in it for me. If daddy comes home and they have to sit on the couch, I'm not sure why that's exciting for them.
Oh, definitely there's something in it for them. I'm not saying they have to sit on the couches depending on age. When the children are, I used to have special board games or whatever that I took those 20 minutes. That was the only time they were allowed to play that.
That's great.
Okay.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Or certain books, or if I want to give them a healthy snack, for them it's an after dinner snack. I serve them much earlier. But whatever it is, that is what happens. So their mindset is, where do we go and what do we do? Instead of, mommy, why aren't you whatever? It's a shift in a mindset. And it's preparation beforehand. And it's an exciting time. So everyone is happy when he walks in.
Right, but you also said before, your first thing for no, just to clarify for our viewers, was you also said that it's love. So you're actually devoting until the husband comes home. You're really focusing on the kids and making them feel so loved that they got their fix almost. You know what I'm saying? That at that point, they're willing to give you over to your husband because they've gotten you ready.
Definitely, even though being realistic, when is it ever enough? But yeah.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah. Okay, so good. So we got that one. That's the green. That's fantastic. Those are some great tips.
Okay. Then red is clarity for a mother to know what are her family red rules. I call them red rules.
Red rules.
R-E-D.
Yeah.
R-E-D.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes,
red rules.
Red rules.
Okay.
And again, you're the captain of your ship. You're going to decide. But I find the families who have difficulty with children respecting them and the mothers who find it difficult to discipline, I would say between 50 and 70% can be minimized or prevented if the mother is clear on what she expects and if the children are clear about the mother's expectations. I think they got it or they understand, they're clueless.
So you're saying clarity in your communications with your kids avoids a lot of the conflicts.
It's not only communication, it's the expectation. So let's stick to this same example so we shouldn't be all over the place.
Okay.
What I expect of my children when daddy comes home, right? So I like doing, like 2 things yes and 2 things not, just to make it clear. I don't do 5 and 5. That's, you can add, but I like to keep things simple. So I would say 2 things that I don't want them to be clear that I don't do for the first 20 minutes or half hour when their father comes home.
This is red, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And this is knowing what is no. Red is no.
Fine.
What they won't do. So the children need to be clear that the first half hour their daddy is home. For example, you don't come over to ask me any homework questions. You don't come over and ask me. Every mother decides what the no will be according to her household, the ages of her children, what's happening at that time.
But you're having 2. You're only having 2, you're saying, just to be simple.
I'm having 2 no's, 2 what not to do.
Fine.
But I say the way you choose that is dependent on what's happening in your home, the ages of your children, and you ask yourself a question: what bothers me most from making my husband a priority when he comes home? And whatever it is that the children need then, if it's bath time or whatever it is, rearrange it so that whatever bothers you and hinders you and prevents you him that attention will be taken care of. And that's how I explain to my children two things not. Okay, so let's say don't come to me with homework or school questions then, or don't come to me with you fill in the blank. And I say two things they can do. You can play quietly near us. You could come into the room and take an apple from the fridge. It's not everything no, but the rules are that this time is sacred and the children are there. You know, the family doesn't disappear. But they need to know what I expect of them. Two things.
The rules are absolutely clear. That's incredible. I mean, that saves the whole fighting every time where they're fighting for your attention over your husband. It's fantastic, and that's in a way they fight for your attention away from your husband because they want your husband's attention, even if it's negative attention. Even if come on, let mommy speak. Whatever it is. The kids are very, very smart.
And let me give you another, a part of red. See, I love giving children choices because then they are cooperative and part of the solution. But for red, I am the one that gives them the menu or the list of choices that I call acceptable choices, meaning whatever they choose from there is acceptable. I always give the example of a mother screaming at her kid in the morning, "Are you going to school or not?" And the kid says, "Not." Well, that's not acceptable.
Right.
So why did I offer it, right? So the only thing I allow here is I'll put 2 or 3 or 4 options on the list, which I call acceptable, solutions.
Do one for the going to school. Are you going to school now, or what would be an acceptable 2 choices for that?
Are you going to school with your regular shoes or your Shabbos shoes? Okay, are you going to school with this snack or that snack? The going to school is not an option, but I give them a choice on something that I don't mind being flexible about.
That's great. This is fun.
Wonderful. Because kids like choices. We all like choices. That's the truth.
That's great. Okay, good. Okay, continue. This is great.
Can I say something that nobody's going to listen to because I shouldn't say it? This all works on husbands also. But, anyway.
You didn't do it here.
Atara, we love that. If you think, Atara, that I'm listening to this before my kids, I'm completely listening for my biggest child, my husband.
Very good. Very
Some
good.
of these things are just human.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be necessarily for kids. It's just human stuff.
That's right. It's fantastic.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Go ahead.
And by the way, I owe the people who took my course for that because they came back saying, "This is amazing, Atara," because my husband sits down and watches it with me and he doesn't even realize that we're practicing something that works so well and, it saved us a lot of money not going to marriage.
So hold on a second, Atara. We're going to have her link so that people can, if they want to take her course, that we can add her link in?
Yes. I'm going to
like
put in the
okay,
link and I'm going to give it to her to put in.
Okay, so that she can, that'll be like on
Yeah,
somewhere.
and guys,
so
stay tuned because we also have some freebies from Atara at the end, so don't go anywhere.
There you go. Okay, Atara, go ahead. We're still listening. Go ahead.
Okay, so are we okay with the red, which really is boundaries, respect, how to say no.
Expectations. It's fantastic. It's expectations. Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah,
Wait.
I actually like the red a lot because I find today so much of parenting is the green, like sort of like whatever the kid wants, or yes, with love, but much more accommodating to the child. The red is like a little bit old school, so I like the red. The red's got,
Right.
Okay, hold on, Atara. Give us 1 second, Atara. Hold on. We got to do something really crucial
Leia's
here.
Gotta do
The
her-
first time
her
on the new
bottle.
set. Okay, ready? Here we go. Now, wait.
Leah, get it right.
Get it right. Okay, so I'm going to throw it and then, okay, ready? I did it. Yay! Okay, fine. We just had to. Okay, back to the commercial break. Okay, go ahead. So you were about to say, now you're going into oranges, right?
No, there's no oranges. There's only yellows. But I want to respond to what you said about the red being old school.
I drank my whole other water.
Absolutely correct.
Oh,
Old school had difficulty mothering and parenting with green. We were supposed to just do what we were told and not complain,
you can give me that open one.
Today, mothers find it much more difficult to parent with red. We are afraid to discipline. We are afraid to be seen as the mean mommy. We don't want to alienate our children or invite resistance. So I just want to calm everybody and say that red is the new improved version, as you heard, which only creates clarity and cooperation. It's amazing.
Okay, I like that because I think so many of us are getting all tricked up on how to parent with the red.
Yeah. Okay, fine. She's going to go to the orange.
I'm going to give the yellow. No
Yellow,
orange.
yellow. You know what? When Leah drives, she doesn't even notice the yellow. It's orange. So it's a yellow. Yeah, it's called red and yellow, green and it's the yellow.
Okay, fine. Okay,
That's
good.
a song.
Sorry about that.
Okay, yellow.
Yellow. So yellow is with trust, right? Now, like I said, parenting and any important relationship, we need love, we need boundaries, and we need trust. So how do I now prepare for daddy coming home using yellow? Well, there are two big components of yellow. One of them is giving choices so children can become responsible. And the second one is preparing for changes and transitions. It's like the yellow signs, merge ahead or, whatever. You're going to notice on the road that yellow is cautionary, preparing you for what's going to happen. Intersection ahead, all of those signs are yellow. So let's use these two issues, these two suggestions on how we could prepare for daddy coming home and be able to be the wife that we want to be and we aspired, right? Okay. So the first one is giving children choices and building their responsibility. I use something in my book and in my program called the language of responsibility. Can I give you an example?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay. So instead of telling a child like, go to your room or do that or whatever, I use the WH questions of what, when, how, and which. Never why, because that, makes you feel, as if you're being accused. But I'll give you an example. I'll use, let's say, what time is it? So she'll say, oh, it's almost 7:00. When does daddy come home? Oh, he's coming home soon. What did we agree upon that you will be, doing or busy with or whatever? I use the what, the when, the which, and then the child tells themselves, hey, I could do this, as opposed to me giving commands and reminders and, pressure and nagging and criticism. Do you see what I'm doing?
Yeah. It's very good. It's like they're not going into defensive. They're answering simple questions, which gets, their brain just is going with the flow.
Exactly. I'll give you an example with homework. Instead of saying, get your homework done, it's almost 6:00. I mean, I've said that time and again. But if I am reminding myself to use yellow talk, which is, the language of responsibility. So, and that's cautionary. It's going slow because when I say do this, in 30 seconds, she hears what I have to say. And this might take a minute. That's right. But I would tell her like, what time is it? What subjects do you have tomorrow? Oh, I have social studies and Chumash. And which exercises have to be done? Oh, right. I really should do my homework. Okay, great. She got it. I asked her. She noticed, she connected, and she feels in control of her time, her actions. And by the way, she feels thrilled that she earned her, compliments because she did it. She decided to. She initiated. It's amazing. So if we use this language of responsibility 10 minutes before your husband comes home, what do you think would happen then?
That would work. You get results. Great. Yeah. I have a question though. Is how do you deal with the fact that when the husband comes home, the kids also want him? So, for example, he's walking in the door and now you're telling them, well, it's mommy and daddy time, and they also haven't seen him and they're also excited to see him and they also want their time. So how do you navigate the two of those?
And also, people who are watching, please, if you
ask
have questions. We
yes.
had a few questions that come in. Read those questions.
Yeah, we'll read those exactly.
And, but ask your questions while you got it live right here.
Yes.
What are you struggling with? When your husband comes home, what is your number one thing that drives you crazy? And what have you done to try to fix it? And what have you, what has failed? What has succeeded? What can you tell our other listeners that a tip you thought of that, if I put slippers and a glass of juice by the door, slippers to guys who wear slippers anymore, or whatever, Crocs, whatever it is, flip-flops. So whatever it is that we'd love to hear those.
Yeah, and teleconference people *6, you're able to ask a question, and feel free, guys, Facebook and Instagrammers, share this because I'm sure you have lots of friends dealing with this same issue, and this is a great show for them to learn how to handle it.
Okay, Atara, back to you.
Okay, so I'm going back to the green and creativity. Creativity is in green, and this needs a conversation with your husband before. Your husband is the father, and he also, I am sure, I hope, I'm sure that I hope, wants connection with his children. The question that we ask him is, would you like those 5 minutes the minute you walk in the door? Or would you prefer we sit down for 20 minutes and then you give them a few minutes of attention? Yeah. So first of all, that is his choice. Remember the list of acceptable choices? Definitely each husband feels something different and wants something else. So let's take both examples. The husband that wants the attention and the hugs and the this and a little roughhousing or whatever for the first 5 minutes, children have to know, and I actually put on a timer. You can do it with a stove timer, your phone alarm, whatever it is. So daddy or tati comes home and then they jump on him and he sits down and they tell him and you give them a warning. This is the yellow. I prepare before transitions and changes. And I say, kiddos, we have another 60 seconds and then daddy and I are going to eat dinner and then we're going to come say goodnight. So they have that, or if he prefers it at the end, the same thing. Here's another yellow. Yellow is when, then. Instead of saying get out, don't. So I say, when daddy finishes dinner and you play quietly or whatever it is, so we can do that happily and, with no interruptions, then we say what we want. You'll be able to talk to him, tell him what happened today, show him your whatever.
So how do you get your husband on board with this meanwhile?
His choice. I don't want to decide for him if the children jump on him the first 5 minutes or the last 5 minutes before he has to run out. Why should I do that?
Right. So he says, okay, no, I want it the first 5 minutes. And then you're sitting there saying, okay, 60 more seconds. And then he's giving you dirty looks like, no, it's fine. It's fine. And meanwhile, your dinner is frying on the thing and turning into black smithereens,
First, close the gas. Don't let it fly. Close the flame. Don't let it burn. Don't let it. And if that happens, I'm going to give this back to you, Leah. Do you think that the wife should criticize her husband in front of her children and say, hey, we said 5 minutes? Or what would you suggest?
There you go. Okay. So there's a couple of options. One of the things that are very, very challenging is, especially when these changes and these tips you're making are so right on, they're so spot on. The way to get your husband to do it, everybody has to know their own husband. So it could be that your husband, that you just make them, and this is whatever, and he comes into the new, we did a new set, we made it all beautiful. The atmosphere in the home is all different, and he walks in and you're fine. There's some husbands who would come in and say, wait a minute, this is not my home, this is not what I'm comfortable with. So you have to know your own husband. Does he like change? Does he like, no one likes change so much, but a new, fresh thing. And especially if it's, she said, you're asking your husband what he wants. So in that situation, you want to connect with him and you want him to feel like you're trying to do things in the environment, in the home, to make him feel welcomed, loved, and supported and connected to you. Okay, so in this situation, what you would do is you would have your husband, depending on which you would either just completely change the environment, or you'd sit him down and say, listen, I've been, I've been taking a class, or I've been learning, and here's what I'm thinking might work, is when you come home and I make a deal with the kids and I say, listen, they can play with these special games, or they can have these special snacks, or whatever it is that they're going to get, these benefits, in order for you to have that first 5 minutes. Does that work for you? And they'll say, wow, that sounds great. That was a great idea. And then you say, what do you want me to do if it runs over 5 minutes and you're still having fun with the kids and I'm getting aggravated because the dinner is getting burned? How do I handle that? And have them give you suggestions and brainstorm and say, okay, let's try this for a couple of weeks, see how it works. If it's causing me too much stress, or it's, the kids aren't listening to the 5 minute limits or whatever it is, if it's not working, we'll revisit. So that was just basically, as you're saying, communication, bonding with your husband, finding out what he wants.
Beautiful. And of course we can do creativity, because everything you said is so true and so effective and so relevant. But I also find that if the father is a type that finds it difficult with boundaries, well, then it's almost a no-brainer that the 5 minutes are at the end of dinner.
That's good. That's a good clarification. So everybody who's listening, your husband. If he is good with boundaries, then this would be the beginning. If it isn't, do it the other way. So you have to sort of everything, there's no one size fits all. You have to sort of know what works. Okay, so go on back to, did she answer the question that you had?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Okay.
It's all, if you set everything up ahead of time and give the husband the choice, he can be with the kids first.
Why don't you go with some of the questions that came in?
So, I'm actually also really interested in this aspect is what do you're obviously dealing with a lot of mothers. What do they say they regret the most in their relationship with their children? Because I have to tell you, I have a lot of mommy guilt, and I literally talk about it all the time. Like, I should have. Why didn't I? I look at now. I'm such a different mother. I've learned so much. I didn't know that. Like, there's a lot of that.
So that is a very profound question, and it touches, a painful point. Is it okay if I answer in two aspects?
No, only.
No, answer for it. If you're going to give me an answer, go for it. No.
Yeah, go for it.
And all us mothers.
Yes, that's good.
Okay, so I want to go for 1 minute on the mommy guilt that you spoke about and just say that over the decades that I've had the privilege, the challenge, and the wonder of working with so many dedicated mothers, mommy guilt that they share with me consistently and constantly, and they're so creative. Sometimes they even feel guilty that they're guilty. So mommy guilt, forget it.
We'll find a way.
Mommy guilt could be divided into three. The first one is what you said, three categories. Like I could have and I should have and I didn't. And all the things that I regret that I didn't do. I didn't sit enough with them, play enough with them, educational toys with them, talk to them enough, love them enough, everything in that category.
Read them enough books. Yes. Okay.
Yes. The second category is sort of the present. That's the past. Things I could have, should have, would have, and didn't do. Then is the present where it is, I feel guilty if I enjoy my time away from them. So if I enjoy being at work, if I enjoy being with friends, even if sometimes
that better,
Yes, that is right on the money.
Even reading a book or taking some time to myself or going to, anything, a yoga class, whatever it is, or sleeping later. Somebody told me that Shabbos morning she was up and she heard her kids playing and she didn't get out of bed for an hour and she felt guilty the entire hour. Why is staying in bed when I should go out and sit with them on the living room floor and play with them? She said she ruined her whole day.
Right.
Wow. Oh.
I wouldn't feel guilty.
Yeah, but it's true because she didn't even
we're good.
Yeah, she didn't even sleep well. So it's like, what's the
What's
point?
the point?
Okay.
Right, okay.
And then the third category that they share with me is that they feel guilty that they don't have enough skills or don't feel proficient enough either in their parenting skills, meaning I don't know how to discipline, I don't know how to do this, I don't know how to do that, I should know how to help, the brothers and sisters love each other more, or everything like that. And or housework stuff, like I should cook more nutritious meals, I should do this, I should iron the shirts even though they're under their sweaters. So these three categories actually haunt mothers and fill them with mommy guilt.
It's a good word. Haunt is the exact operative word. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you asked me, what they regret most. So having taken everything I just said into consideration, what they regret most, parents, is not, and this sounds weird because everything we do is out of love, sacrifice, and for our children's benefit. I don't have to convince you of that. Our time, our love, our money, our philos, our thoughts, everything, our schedules, we turn them inside out and devote and sacrifice everything for our children. But they regret the way they do things. I was impatient. I was angry. I was resentful. I was rushed. I was distracted. I wasn't focused. I didn't enjoy. Every time I was like, go to sleep, go here, go out to play, get your friends. The way they did things, even though they love and sacrifice and do and nurture and prepare and cook and take and carpool, but the manner in which it was done did not leave the children feeling beloved, loved, important, and precious.
That's so sad. That's so harsh. It's very right on the money. Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Ouch. So what's the fix?
Yeah. How do you not feel that way?
So here's
we're all about the fix. Ladies Talk Show, we're all about the fix. Okay, so go ahead.
So, definitely on track. Actually, why this is so practical is because I created this method based on all my guilt, my failures, my flaws, me going from bed to bed when the children fell asleep at night, not understanding how I could have been sarcastic or impatient, promising myself I'd never do that again, and then talk to me the next morning by 8 o'clock where I had to get them all out to school on time and I had to get to work.
Right.
And
because Atara, you just said it. You went to them when they were sleeping. They look like angels when they're sleeping. They don't look the same when they're up, standing upright, and they're
especially when the mouth's fine. Yeah.
Right. So what I decided to do is that every time I feel, because I 20 years of being a mother, either ignoring the mommy guilt or trying to push it away or letting it ruin my life. And nothing helped. It really was a mess. Use the mommy guilt instead of losing it. I asked myself, if, when a person feels pain, it's a bracha from Hashem because then you know something is wrong. The biggest fear that people have medically, they tell me many times, is that they don't know something's wrong because it didn't hurt. And by the time they found out, it was too late. So pain has its value. It has its function. And I told myself, if I am so pained by mommy guilt, maybe it's supposed to teach me something. Maybe I'm supposed to learn from it, embrace it, understand it, utilize it. So each of the 3 skills, the colors, the green, the red, and the yellow, depending on what kind of mommy guilt you feel, you will find an appropriate either speed tactic, suggestion, strategy, or skill to be able to help you minimize that guilt because it's shining a light on what you want to improve.
So give us an example, like what you mean.
Okay. If I feel terrible that I didn't spend enough time with a certain child, let's say it's overlooking the good child. That happens a lot. We spend a lot of attention, money, and effort on the children who, are problematic in certain areas. And the child who's just a good child many times gets overlooked.
Ouch. Okay.
Yep.
So we feel guilt. She turns you in. Now you say, oh, you want to go out to lunch or something like that.
Okay, exactly. So if I know that, the old me would have either ignored the guilt or just felt overwhelmed by it. And now I'm saying, hello, what can I do? That means I want more positive communication. I want to do something that positive memory. So that's green. I go to green. And there are so many things there. One of them is dating your child. I know you said everything belongs to the marriage, but we also can learn from one relationship to another. And it could be a lunch date when your husband's at work. I didn't say it has to be, instead of. It could be in addition to. But when you make a date with that specific child and you go out with them even for an hour and they choose the place, obviously acceptable, and you create that memory. I ask my children, I did teach my children before they get all married now, and I ask them what they remember from their childhood and what they're taking along their, I'll just answer what they remembered. Almost invariably, they said, I have sons who remember 2 main things, which is all in green, by the way. One of them is what we called night out. I give each of them 2 hours weekly, meaning each one night a week I devoted to a child. So they had every few weeks, they had their turn. Wow. My husband wasn't home then, he was by a share, and I had a babysitter or whatever it was, and that was their night. If we could play in my room, a board game and pop popcorn, we could go out, we could visit a grandma, whatever they wanted. They remembered quote unquote nights out, which actually is personal attention. And the second thing they remembered was I always was up in the morning before them and walked them to the door. It didn't matter how early they went to Minyan. It was dark, it was raining. Sometimes I used to put their clothing in the dryer for 5 minutes to make it warmer because I lived in Israel and there was no indoor heating and everyone was freezing and this was like a hug. Those were the things they remembered, even though I promise you, I got them braces and piano lessons, a million things that I dedicated and went and did and spent. No, that's what they remembered.
Wow. It's beautiful. It's great. Okay, we have time for, I think, one last question.
Okay, so we have, if you can leave, this is, our kind of question, but if you can leave us with one message, what would it be?
Oh, I'm not good with one. I always be a good girl. No.
No, you could give us 2. You could give us 2. You have a little bit more time.
No. This time I'm to the protocol. I'm sorry. This has to do with boundaries and red. No. Sorry. It's called self-discipline. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to give one message. Okay. I'm doing this quickly.
Standing on one foot, right?
I'll share the message I end the book with. So it might be a spoiler, but this is something that's important to know. if I could do things all over again, or what message would I give? And that is that the perfect time to make a change when parenting is now. I am a perfectionist. I am a type A personality, and I have a tendency to, when I finish that project, when we're going to start the new school year, when we're going to move to a house, when I'll be calmer, when we'll have more money, when I'll have more health. And I'll give an example which really happened to me, and I want the 1 minute to share with you. My oldest daughter was born. She was my parents' oldest granddaughter. And I was living in Israel at the time, and they sent me an amazing beautiful dress.
Her oldest daughter.
Okay, fine. This is your oldest daughter, you're saying?
My oldest daughter. Fine. And she was the first granddaughter, the first grandchild, we lived, 6,000 miles away. So they sent with someone an amazing, beautiful dress that was beribboned, organza, smocking. It was amazing. And she was beautiful with green eyes and long hair. And it was just amazing. So I tried on the dress, then she looked at it, and then of course I put it back in the tissue paper, because you don't wear that dress when you go to the sandbox, nor when you go to the grocery store, nor when you're watching your brother play in the bathtub. And we didn't have close families, so I didn't have any weddings or parties. And then one day, a couple of months later, I decided, let me dress her up so I can. Then there were actual cameras with actual film. I'm dating myself.
Okay, film it's like you take it out of the camera, you bring it in. Okay, good. Okay, we're explaining that. That's fine.
Yeah,
okay,
and there was this thing inside called film, and you either had to take 24 or 36 pictures to be able to get it out and develop it. Okay, so here I am with half a roll of film, and I want to take pictures, and I put her on the dress, and it's too small. Oh. It refuses to zip up. And I am there tugging and pulling with tears in my eyes, I kid you not. And she's looking at me so disappointed, and I never took pictures to send my mother. And that was the dress that was never worn. That dress became my mission in life.
What a lesson.
What's the mission in life?
Not to show off important things at all, ever. Do it now.
Atara's like, I should have put her in the dress to go to Sandbox.
If you're not going to do it now, then when then?
Wow.
So to improve your marriage, it's not let's see what he gets me for my anniversary and then I'll decide. Or when my mother-in-law is going to realize I was the best thing that ever happened to him. No, do not wait.
Wow, that is gorgeous.
Wow.
Very, very poignant story. And I really, really think the tips that you get are awesome. I mean, both and for our marriage. And there's one thing that I'm very, very grateful to you for, which is to merge those two. It's so difficult. We covered a lot in here. We have a lot of classes. What's the one we have that...
Screaming Babies Come First,
Screaming
right?
Babies Come First, where I give a lot of what our sources are from our Masorah in terms of how do you juggle it? How do you balance? How do you make your, how do you make your husband, the center of your life? When your husband would just sit there and if he said, can you wait a minute? He'd say, yes. You can't, if every say, oh, yes, I'll just sit here waiting to talk to daddy. Doesn't happen. So how do you juggle that? Why were we given such a crazy, impossible task of being able to make our husband feel like the number one priority in our life, the number one, our focus of our life? This is Shalom Bayis. This is peace in the home. Everything else is secondary. How can we do that? And what Atara has given us today is some tools on how to make our kids happy and in boundaries with our children and expectations with our children so that we can focus on our husband, because we know from our sources a 3,000-year-old track record. We know if what's all that weird?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, it's her phone. Okay.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Oh, it's her
Stop breathing, Atara. We're joking.
Okay, so yeah, definitely joking on that. So the thing is, if we know from our 3,000-year-old tradition that if we take care of our husband, if we nurture our husband and give attention to our husband and make our husband the priority, a lot of issues that are going on with our kids will fade away and lessen. And what Atara has to do is tactics to make that happen. When your husband comes home, to be quiet. You just learned a fantastic you can just hear, oh, that would work. That would work with this kid. That would work with that kid. So again, with the creativity of the women, please, if you add, send us emails, whatever. If you have some more input and more tips you have to add to Atara's. And Atara, do you have any last comment before we sign off here today?
Yes, I want every single wife, mother listening here to know you can do it. You are unbelievably precious. You are partnered with Hashem in creating the children, and you're raising the generation that hopefully will meet Mashiach. I want you to be proud of yourself, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and believe in yourself.
Right, and Atara, I also want at this point just to let our viewers know that your website is www.ataramalach.com, where they can get more of this.
It's also the mommyguiltexpert.com.
Wonderful. Okay, the mommy, for anyone who needs to deal with the mommy guilt, that's the one you're going to, the mommyguiltexpert.com. And for our lucky audience members, you are offering 2 free gifts. Your sneak peek download of over 60 pages of your new book, A Working Mother's GPS, a guide to parenting success for the modern working mom, and a free gift that's called the 1 Minute Mother. And Atara, I love that because we're all about the 1 minute here. Our homeworks are 1 minute. We're all about quick sound bites.
That's great.
So could you tell us just quickly what that 1 Minute Mother is? Because you've got like a few small minutes.
Yes, the 1 Minute Mother is if I said you can do it, because no matter how busy we are, how overwhelmed we are, or no matter who walks in the door when, we have 60 seconds, that's for sure. And this is a 1-pager where you have 3 steps on, if you just fill in the blanks, how to create loving memories with your children in 60 seconds. So you can use it time and again for no reason in the world except for the fact that you want them to feel loved. And remember what we said the greatest regret was? This is going to counterbalance, minimize, and even eradicate the regret that our children don't know how much we love them.
That's
wow.
fantastic.
Okay, and your last one, which is, well, you got a lot of websites. So everyone, I wrote this in and we put this in so you'll be able to find it on our page. But it's www.gpsforthejewishparent.com, where they can get lifetime access to your online parenting course.
Okay,
So
we'll have all the
thank you.
links for everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. We will see you next week at the Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richheimer. See you next week.